Some nutrition stats. I had 4 bottles of mix. There were 3 whole bottles and 2 half bottles that I drank. I had 10 gels. I had 3 hydration packs, 2 of them whole and 2 of them half, meaning that like I was able to drink through 2 whole ones and 2 half ones. And each one of them had 1 pack of Mar10 320 in there. So I took in, this is crazy, I know this is going to break people's brains, but I had 960 grams of carbs over that race. So that's about 120 an hour, which that is above the normal 90, right? And
do you have gas?
So this is probably a bit TMI, but buckle up. So basically, I felt like energy levels were great throughout the race, like no issues whatsoever. And then once we came down from Columbine, I started coming back. I was like, oh, my stomach hurts really bad, but it didn't feel like gut rot. It's like a different feel. It was just basically like if you weren't riding your bike and you're suddenly like, oh my gosh, I have to go to the bathroom, like right now, right? Mm-hmm. And that just kept getting worse and worse and worse. And by the time I got to Pipeline, I was dying. Like it was really bad and I couldn't focus on anything. And then these great people were cooling everybody off with these wet towels, and I saw a totally different purpose for these wet towels. And I was carrying like 3 of them, and one guy's like, why are you carrying so many towels? In my mind, I'm like, don't worry about it. Like I'm just riding. And then
you don't want to know.
You don't want to know. And then I snuck off into the woods a few times and took care of business. And then after that, I was totally fine. Energy levels are still high, so I don't feel like it was gut rot. I think it was actually bad food from the night before.
How far into the race was that?
This was like 4 or 5 hours.
See, I think that's the night before.
Yeah, and the interesting thing too was the fact that after that, you would think that if it was like gut rot and like bonking, that I would still be like, oh, I'm in a hole, right? No. After like, sorry.
So this is I don't know how this works. If someone knows, please tell me. But
yeah.
I think what happens is when you get over the amount you can absorb,
yeah.
it just goes through your digestive tract and you get really loose stools and you get gas.
Yeah.
And it does hurt. It's happened to me before.
Yeah.
We can test it like right after this.
So no, thank you. But the interesting thing was I continued my intake at the same rate after and felt great. Afterward. Yeah. I think
we should test it.
Also think it was the food too, because I looked back at the website where we got the food from, and they do use, I didn't think they used dairy, but they did use dairy in there, and dairy causes me issues, and I didn't have any lactate or anything else like that. So I think that's what it was. Because then once I kept going on, it was great. I had awesome energy throughout the rest of the race. So
we'll have to test it still, Nate.
Yeah, you guys go ahead. So always be eating. That's like a big thing that you have to do, and always be drinking, of course. And forget palate fatigue. Honestly, if your palate fatigue is such like a pretentious term anyway, right?
What would that be?
Like when people are like, I just can't handle the same flavor anymore.
Oh my god!
I need something, right?
When you were a caveman.
Yeah, exactly.
What would you? Oh no, I don't want any more buffalo.
Yeah,
man.
You're eating like pounded corn and buffalo for the 17th year in a row.
Yeah,
and you're like, oh
and you're
man,
like, I think I want to go paleo. Oh wait, I almost kind of am.
Yeah,
right.
I don't want palate fatigue. Forget palate fatigue. You can eat whatever you want after the race. Just eat what works, right? And stick to that. And don't take nutrition products that you haven't tested. I saw a bunch of people, like super kind people in the aid station, like offering other people things, right, to eat. And it's one thing if you're like completely depleted, take something on. But otherwise, if that's not in your plan, don't take it. Pacing, that start was just starting at the beginning. That was extremely sketchy. Probably the scariest moments I've ever had on a bicycle in my life. More scary than riding Whistler when it was like completely flooded in a downpour on sketchy slabs and bridges that are covered in moss.
That's
by far away. And it's not because the road was sketchy. We were going down a road. It was the riders. And I think it's just because this kind of brand of mountain biker doesn't ride in groups very much. So at least it seems. Like we were going like 35 miles an hour down this road, 40 miles an hour down this road. And it's very clear by the 100 people in front of us that we were going to hit a right turn in like 200 meters, right? We can all see it because it's downhill. Like we can see the turn. But there are people like taking their hands off the bars and yelling out like right turn and like signaling with their hands. And it's like, yo, we got it. You don't need to take your hand off the bars, because when they take their hand off the bars, it's not like a normal rider. They start like going out of control and they stop braking and like did you have a similar experience?
You say that.
It's terrifying.
But still, people back in the green corral,
miss the turn.
No, they lock up because they don't realize it's coming.
Oh my god!
And they're going and they're like fishtailing.
Oh my gosh!
So I mean, The
It was
right turn
terrifying.
yelling, I think, is because they don't want people behind them
Yeah.
crashing into them.
It was crazy. And then guys just like I was like spinning around and I'm like looking down. I'm like, I'm doing 300 watts. This is not good. So I just like eased off, right? And there are guys that I'm looking at that I'm just like, see you in 30 seconds when you're blown up, right? And and they're just going so hard and it's such a long day.
It must be exciting though, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's it. That's why.
This is your event of maybe your lifetime.
Yes.
Like your bucket list of one of the things in cycling. And yeah.
Yep. They
300
focus
watts
on
doesn't
it.
feel like 300 watts.
You've been training for a year for it probably and taking it really seriously.
Listen to podcasts and all the way up.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Like,
exactly. It's like everything for them.
Yeah, that's I've had that too, where it's just
yeah.
so exciting, right?
Yeah.
And then like you blow through the first aid station before they've set it up.
Yeah.
And you're like, I'm good, but then you're not good.
Yeah, exactly.
I have an idea, Lee. Of, like, do you ever see it when people descend, where like they descend worse at their most important events, or like the things that matter the most for them because they're in their own head?
Yeah, I can say I me too. You know, I think, I mean, like we talked last time about optimal arousal and finding that sweet spot. And if you're over it, you're not going to be riding smart. Yeah. Like I had, not that I ever think about this anymore because it's a complete non-issue in my life. But in 2004, I was on the Masters Worlds team for the USA.
Yeah.
And that was my huge goal for the year, was just to be invited. Like anyone can go, but I had the stars and stripes, right?
That's pretty
so
cool.
I'd already pretty much met my complete cycling goals for downhill. But I got there and I was riding well, dude, and I was there. And there's this one really nutty, you're going like, really fast on a dirt road, hard right, off camber, rooty, rocky, muddy, rainy to an uphill.
Oh geez.
And in practice, dude, I was coming out, I was slowing down almost to a stop. I was squaring up and just edging that section and just carrying speed. And I was like in my 12.
Wow.
Like back then, like a 38-12 and just gone. And I knew I could outpedal everybody. But dude, like I started coming down that hill and I just hear people screaming my name. I had never heard that in my life. I'm like, how do they even know?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then Lee likes bikes, all this stuff, and the flash bulbs, and I just didn't slow down enough.
Yeah.
And haunts me.
Yeah.
I punched a tree and then I'm in my 12
Yeah. There you
on
go.
flat ground, right?
Yeah. Which means you don't go anywhere, basically.
So
Yeah.
I mean, like I would guess that would be considered a choke,
Yep.
right?
Oh, and I saw that a ton when we got to aid stations because you kind of like ride with like the same group of people almost the whole race after a while. Like you just see each other in a bit, like every time. And every time we get to aid stations, I'd see them. They're just like hero, right? They're like, I'm jacked up again. Like I can do it. And they go really hard. And then after that, I'd pass them and they'd be just like heavy breathing, right? It happens to all of us.
I feel like you should always have, like, trick your brain. You should have another event.
Yeah.
Like this
That's
is
more important.
This is the stepping stone to this other huge event.
100%.
I've done the best on events that are like preps for the big event.
Oh, yeah.
Because you don't care.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
It's
You're
really
like,
interesting.
It's not a big deal. I'm going to pace this perfectly. The outcome doesn't matter. Then you have a great outcome.
Yeah, and like a weekly twilight race before national championships, right?
Yeah.
The one that really doesn't matter. Another thing, we've said it plenty of times, like we just said, go easier than you think you need to on the climbs, and then keep your pace up over the top. That was one thing that I saw like very, very, very few people actually do. And when we were in groups, actually, we kind of formed this tiny group at the very end when you're kind of coming into town and you hit some rollers before you do this really long drag coming into town. And spoiler alert for anybody that hasn't done Leadville, you will like wonder what in the world is wrong with these race organizers, because like the course just feels like, how is it still going? On this really long dirt road. Remember that thing coming in? It feels extremely long and it's just straight and you can see it forever. But in those situations, we were riding with a group and this guy's like, let's form a group. And I'm like, all right, cool. Just so you know, I'm holding my own pace. So, I'll ride my pace if it's the group's pace. And we go over and I was like doing a pull, then a guy came around me and he goes up this hill and he had to have been going like 400 watts, right? And then like he like goes back to fall back and he looks worked. And I was like, hey man, I'll work with you as long as you don't do that ever again. Like don't pull that hard. It's not going to help anybody.
I love how you have healthy boundaries out there.
You have to.
My girls are in like a Waldorf school. They're learning that.
Yeah. You have to, right? You have to just place those lines for sure. The other thing, walking is more tiring than riding, I swear. Unless you have really bad gearing, right? That's like puts you way over the limit. But a lot of people I saw just like instantly give up and walk. walk, and but try to stay on the bike.
The shopping cart is so hard, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Pushing your bike up this steep, loose thing. You're like, man, this sucks.
Yes.
You're like, yeah, it does.
It's terrible.
I must be specially adapted or something.
It's like, you've done it more.
I like to say that I'm pretty good. Humbly, I'll say I'm pretty good at pushing a bike.
The up Columbine, we had to walk when I was there. There's so many people.
Yep.
But I actually tweaked my back, and my triceps got tired from pushing the bike so much.
Because if you're pushing up Columbine, that's a long time you're pushing because it's really steep for a long time. And then the other point is on the descents. We talked about looking outside the main line, like coming down Pipeline. You have on almost every situation, you have berms to the side of the trail. Like look and use those. We unfortunately didn't have ruts this time because the ruts would have been awesome too. Because I guarantee you, people wouldn't have been descending in the ruts. So it's like, okay, I've got a clear line and it's perfect for me, and I can just stick to that.
One of the things that happens when we're under stress is our eyes just follow that main line. Like we get this really hard focused vision, right? And you can't see. So you need to have some bandwidth in the first place.
Yep.
In order to even conceive of it.
Yes.
You can feel it when you're really pinned on a downhill run, like when you cross that line.
Yep.
Like where it becomes, it takes a lot more like mental effort to pick other lines, right?
If you like that video, subscribe to our channel and give it a like and even a comment down below.
If you want to check out more race analysis videos, click on me.
If you want your coaching questions answered, click on me.
And if you want to become a faster cyclist, head over to TrainerRoad.com.